The garage door was halfway up when I heard someone screaming in the street, "He's stealing my car!" I stepped out with my coffee still in my hand, and two squad cars were already sliding to the curb like they'd been waiting for a cue. Before I could even point at the Camaro inside my own garage, a cop's hand was on my wrist. "My name's Jake Mercer, and I live on Maple Hollow Lane in Cedar Ridge, Ohio, one of those neighborhoods that looks peaceful until you learn the Homeowners Association runs it like a courthouse with a lawn crew. Neat sidewalks matching mailboxes and an HOA that treats guidelines like a weapon. I'm not some guy with busted cars rotting in the yard either. My place is clean, my garage is organized, and my 1969 Camaro SS stays inside unless I'm driving it." The trouble started the week Linda Hart moved in and got elected president of the Homeowners Association like it was her lifelong dream job. Late 40s, perfect hair, sunglasses even on cloudy days, clipboard in one hand, phone in the other. She didn't introduce herself like a neighbor. She introduced herself like an authority. The first time she saw my Camaro, she did that little pause people do when they're already judging you. "That's interesting," she said, staring a second too long. Then she smiled polite as a knife. "Just make sure it's compliant." The next day I got an email. Not a welcome to the neighborhood. A violation notice. Vehicle visible from street during garage opening. Aesthetic compliance issue. I laughed out loud because the door was open for maybe a minute while I backed out. But 2 days later the second notice hit, and now it wasn't about aesthetics. Now it was unauthorized mechanical activity and possible commercial use. Attached was a daily fine schedule that climbed like a staircase. I replied the way you have to with people like Linda, calm, boring, documented. "The car is registered to me. It stays in my garage. I'm not running a business out of my house. I maintain my own vehicle, that's it." I even offered to meet with the board and clear it up. Linda didn't want it cleared up. She wanted me trained. She showed up at the edge of my driveway a day later, staying just outside the property line, like that made her righteous. "Jake," she said with that fake friendly voice, "sign the compliance agreement and this all goes away." I stared at her. "I'm not signing something that says I violated rules I didn't violate." Her smile didn't move, but her eyes got colder. "Then the fines continue," she said, matter of fact. "And after that, lien." She said lien like she was talking about the weather casual inevitable, like it wasn't a threat at all. That's when I realized Linda wasn't enforcing rules. She was collecting power. After that, she started monitoring. That's the word she used, like she was doing a public service. She'd walk past my house with her phone up, taking pictures like she was building a case file. If my garage door was open for more than a moment, she'd snap it. If I carried a toolbox from my trunk into my garage, she'd snap that too. Every notice had the same tone, polite words with sharp teeth. Then it got weird. I travel for work a couple days a week, and somehow Linda started showing up on the exact mornings I left and the exact afternoons I returned. One day I came home early and caught her at the end of my driveway, phone angled toward my open garage, photographing my car like she was documenting stolen property. "Linda," I called out, keeping my voice steady. "You're on camera." She didn't even flinch. "I'm documenting a violation." "What violation?" I said. "My car, in my garage, on my property." She tilted her head like I was missing something obvious. "It's a nuisance vehicle," she said. "It's disruptive. And there are questions about ownership." That was the first time she said it. Ownership. I actually laughed because it was so absurd it sounded like a joke. "You think I stole my own car?" She shrugged. "People talk." People weren't talking. Linda was planting stories. A couple days later, my neighbor Evelyn, sweet older woman who keeps flowers alive like it's her job, said to me, "Oh, I heard Linda finally got that classic car she wanted." My stomach dropped. Not because I believed it, because I understood what was happening. Linda wasn't just filing violations. She was building a narrative where that Camaro was hers and I was the problem standing in the way. And then came the morning she pulled the trigger on the whole thing. I hit the remote to open my garage, and before the door even finished lifting, I heard Linda outside in the street loud enough for half the block. "That's my car. He's stealing it. Send police." I stepped out with my hands open because I'm not stupid, and I saw her in the road with her phone pressed to her ear, pointing straight at my garage like she was directing traffic. "Linda," I shouted. "What are you doing?" She didn't look at me. She just kept performing into the phone, crying, without tears, trembling, without fear. He has the keys. He's trying to drive away. "It's my car," I said sharper now. "Stop lying." That's when the squad cars rolled in. Fast. Too fast. Two officers got out, Officer Dalton Reese and Detective Nolan Pike, and the first thing I noticed wasn't their uniforms. It was their expressions. Not curious, not cautious. Annoyed, like they already decided who the villain was. Linda ran up to them, talking over herself, pointing at my garage, acting like I was a stranger breaking into my own home. I stepped forward slowly and said, "That vehicle is mine. I have registration, insurance, title, history, restoration, receipts, whatever you want. We can check the VIN right now." Detective Pike didn't even ask for the paperwork at first. He asked, "Where were you last weekend?" I blinked. "What?" "Where were you last weekend?" he repeated like he was reading it off a card. I said, "Out of town for work. Why does that matter?" Officer Reese stepped closer. "Sir, we have a report of a stolen vehicle." I looked at Linda. She stared straight ahead, eyes wide, acting terrified like I was the one who called the cops on somebody's driveway. I went inside, grabbed my folder, the one I keep because living under an HOA teaches you to document everything like you're in court. I handed Reese the registration insurance photos of the car through the years, receipts, even an inspection report. He glanced at it for maybe 2 seconds and passed it to Pike. Pike's jaw tightened. "Documents can be forged." I just stared at him. "You're kidding." He didn't blink. "Turn around." That's when the air left my chest. Not in a dramatic way, just that ugly realization that I wasn't in a conversation anymore. I was in a procedure. Reese grabbed my arm, pulled it behind my back, and the cuffs clicked shut, cold, tight, humiliating. Curtains shifted on the street. A garage door across the way cracked open like someone wanted a better view. And Linda was suddenly calm, watching like she'd paid for front row seats. "Check the VIN," I said, fighting to keep my voice from shaking. "Just check the VIN. "We'll handle it at the station," Pike said. At the station, they sat me in a small room and started asking questions that didn't match reality. Where did I get the car? Who sold it to me? Why did I have keys? Why did I open my garage at that time? Like owning my own property was suspicious because Linda said so. And yeah, there was a moment. Not the cheesy "maybe I'm a bad guy" moment, more like the exhausted practical one. The one where you're thinking about your job, your bills, your name getting dragged through the neighborhood. I stared at the paperwork on the table and thought, if I just cooperate, if I just let them hold the car for investigation, maybe I can go home faster, maybe I can stop bleeding time and money. Then I heard Linda's voice in my head, calm, smug. After that, lean, and something in me snapped back into place. Because this wasn't about a car, this was about power. If I gave up the Camaro, she'd learn a simple lesson: push hard enough and people fold. And she wouldn't stop at the car. She'd go after my house next, my job, my reputation, anything she could stamp non-compliant. So I took a breath and said very clearly, "Call the county sheriff." Detective Pike leaned back like I'd told a joke. "Why?" "Because I want a neutral authority here," I said. "And because Sheriff Grant Holloway knows me." That name changed the room. Not dramatically, just subtly. Reese stopped moving for a second. Pike's eyes flickered. Even the younger officer lingering near the door. Officer Ethan Cole looked like he'd been waiting for someone to say the right thing. Pike said, "We'll see." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't beg. I just repeated it. "Call him." 20 minutes later, Sheriff Holloway walked in. He didn't shout, didn't posture, didn't play hero. He just walked into that room like a man who's seen enough nonsense to recognize it on sight. He looked at my cuffs, looked at the folder, looked at Pike and said, "Start from the beginning." Pike launched into the story, and it sounded rehearsed. Caller reported stolen vehicle, suspect in possession, documents questionable. Sheriff Holloway cut him off with one sentence. "Let's check the VIN." That was it. That simple. They walked me out to the garage bay, and in less than a minute, Holloway had the VIN pulled up, registered to me. Long history, no theft report, nothing, just reality. Sitting there quietly humiliating everyone who'd tried to turn it into a drama. Sheriff Holloway looked at Pike and said, "Explain why you cuffed him without verifying ownership." Pike tried to talk his way out. We had probable cause based on the complaint. Holloway didn't even blink. Probable cause doesn't mean you skip steps. especially not when the complainant is an HOA president with a personal dispute. That's when the floor started shifting under them. Because once Holloway started asking questions, the answers got messy fast. Too fast response time, too confident accusations, a refusal to run a basic check until someone with a bigger badge walked in. And then it got worse. Holloway pulled Reese aside, asked him to empty his pockets. Reese hesitated just long enough. A folded envelope came out. Cash, not a little. Enough to stop a person's heart if they're stupid enough to carry it at work. Pike's face went pale. Holloway asked for Pike's phone. Pike refused. Holloway said calm as ice, "Then you're suspended until Internal Affairs arrives." That's when Linda stormed into the station. She didn't come in like a victim anymore. She came in like a boss who thought the employees were failing her. She slammed her hand on the counter and said, "Why isn't he booked yet? That's my car." The front desk went quiet. The air got tight. I watched Sheriff Holloway turn slowly like he was deciding how gentle to be. "Ma'am," he said, "state your name." "Linda Hart," she snapped, "President of the Homeowners Association." Holloway nodded like he'd just confirmed something. "Linda Hart, did you file a false report of vehicle theft today?" She scoffed. "It's not false. That car is mine." Holloway held up a hand. "The VIN is registered to him. The documentation is legitimate. There is no theft report." "So I'll ask again. Did you knowingly file a false report?" Linda's mouth opened, closed, opened again. And for the first time since she moved into Maple Hollow, she looked unsure, not emotional, not guilty, just cornered. Then she tried her favorite move, pressure. "I pay taxes," she said. "I run this community. He's been in violation for months." Holloway stepped forward half a pace. "This isn't an HOA violation hearing. This is a criminal matter. And you just escalated a neighborhood dispute into a false police report." Linda's face turned that tight shade of furious pink. "So you're taking his side?" Holloway didn't raise his voice. "I'm taking the side of the facts." He nodded at another deputy. "Ma'am, turn around." Linda froze. "Excuse me." "Turn around," he repeated. And when the handcuffs came out, her entire posture collapsed. Not because she suddenly felt remorse, because she finally understood she couldn't intimidate her way out of this room. She started talking fast, trying to negotiate, trying to spin. "This is ridiculous. There's been harassment. He's running a shop. He threatened me." Holloway didn't argue. He just cuffed her. "You're under arrest for filing a false report," he said, and then his eyes flicked toward Reese and Pike. "And we're going to have a much longer conversation about why two officers treated an HOA president's word like gospel." Linda's heels clicked on the floor as she was walked out, and it hit me. This whole thing was never about community standards. It was about a Karen with a title who thought the badge would bend for her, and a couple guys willing to let it. I didn't go back to Maple Hollow Lane feeling victorious. I went back feeling clear. Because when you live under a homeowners association, the biggest danger isn't the rules, it's who gets to weaponize them. Less than paperwork matters. But integrity matters more because without it, anyone with authority can turn your life into a crime scene.